All right, as promised, we've got cargo. 1, 2, 3.
Woo!
All right. We're going to go up this hill on throttle alone, and we'll see how we do. Might have to pedal. I'm not sure. Hey, there's someone walking their bike up here. Let's see if we can pass them. What's your favorite feature, Lenny?
The kickstand.
What's yours?
Dinosaur.
Dinosaurs, cool. What about yours?
Pink Pony Club.
That's a feature? Great. This is the Flyer Loop, Radial Flyer's take on a premium cargo e-bike. And if history is any indication, they typically nail the accessories, thinking of things that people don't think that they need when they think of a cargo e-bike, but does it deliver? As someone who has been riding cargo electric bikes for 8 years, hard for me to believe, that's what I'm here to find out. In this review, I'll walk you through all the components. We'll talk about their accessories. I'll walk you through their display. Then I'll load it up with some cargo and we'll see how the bike performs. We'll take it up our hill climb test. And finally, I'll wrap things up with the key considerations of the Flyer Loop. But first, let's take a closer look. It makes sense that a heritage brand like Radial Flyer is building e-bikes for the family, but another great thing is they have bike shop partners around the United States, like where I live in Bentonville. There's a Flyer dealer, which is awesome. And as you can see, our test model is fully kitted out. We have the Cubby kit with the Cubby Kaboodle, as well as that XL front goodie basket, and its accessories like these that make a cargo e-bike functional for everyday use. But the base model is $29.99. And if you plan to pick one up, do me one quick favor, use our link down in the description or scan the QR code on your screen now before you buy. It's free and makes video content like this possible. Thank you for your support. Colors, of course, you have the iconic red, opal, blue, and black. The bike weighs in at 77 pounds. It has a massive total payload capacity of 440 pounds, 220 pounds on the rear rack. And trust me, that high of a weight capacity isn't a given. It can accommodate riders all the way down to 4'11" up to 6'3". I'm 6 feet tall with a 32-inch inseam. My wife is 5'5". Let's dive into the rest of the components. This being their premium cargo e-bike, you're going to see some component choices that you don't typically see. Like these brakes, they're Magura MT5's 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes, and those are paired with massive rotors, 203 millimeters front and rear. The tires come from Kenda. They're the E-Venture cargo rated tires, 20 by 2.4 inches wide, street tread, reflective sidewall. And that wheel attaches with a through axle. You get huge coverage from this plastic front fender. Likewise with the rear. The front fork is a cargo rated suspension fork from Zoom. It offers 60 millimeters of travel. This is what you can expect. Preload adjustment on the left, lockout on the right. Up front we have this XL front basket. This is the rain cover. It cinches down. Radial Flyer reflective branding. Zippered pocket, mesh pocket, nice cable management. For storage, the handlebars fold down. Check this out. Nice to get them out of the way. The front light attaches to the stem, runs off the main battery. And yes, besides the rear, you have front turn signals as well. I love how high up this light is. More visibility is always a good thing. When you hit the brakes, the light goes brighter, and turn signals in the rear as well. You get Radial Flyer rubber grips, ergonomic and locking, matching Magura levers with motor cutoffs. On the right, a bell, and Shimano's 8-speed trigger shifter. It's a fixed stem, though you have some customization with the swoop of the handlebars. Tucked underneath the display is a left-hand thumb throttle. On the right side of the display is a USB-C port for charging your device. It's an all-in-one with the controls and the display, power button on top. Current time in the top left, battery capacity in the top right, pedal assist level here, off, eco, tour, sport, and turbo. You can turn the lights on by holding pedal assist up, and you can engage walk mode by holding pedal assist down. You have your turn signals left and right. Tap again to turn it off. There's current speed, Hitting the bottom button will give you additional information over to odometer, trip distance, and trip time. Hit it again, battery voltage, battery current, and battery cycles. You can get into the advanced settings by holding this bottom button. You can reset your trip odometer, change the pedal assist mode, switch between the torque and cadence sensor, change the speed limit. Top speed is 20 miles per hour, but you can turn it down. Auto power off time, auto lights, tail light mode. You can select between highlight, flashing pattern, fast blink, slow blink, and back to highlight. You can change your turn signal duration, set units, set a password, change the clock setting, and then there's e-bike info. That's it for the display, but they do have an app. So it found the bike pretty quickly, so I'll tap it. You have access to a lot of the same information in the display, so this could be a companion display if you want to see it easier. So currently a pretty basic app, but it is there in case you want to check it out and see if they've made any improvements. That's it for the display, controls, and their app. There's 3 mounting points on the down tube. Perhaps for the best water bottle cage on the market, sold at shop.ebikeescape.com. It's fully adjustable, so you can bring along a huge water bottle, perhaps for the entire family. Remember, shop.ebikeescape.com for a ton of high quality e-bike accessories, no matter which one you buy. Pretty standard saddle. We'll see how it feels during the riding footage. There's plastic pedals, and yes, kickstands are super important on cargo electric bikes. So let me show you this one. So the best way to put the kickstand up is put your foot in front of it and rock the bike forward. And to put the kickstand down, simply step on it and rock the bike backwards. Super simple, though I will hold judgment for when the kids are loaded. There's a nice zippered pouch here that tucks inside the frame for additional storage. Battery located behind the seat tube. To remove, insert the keys, turn to the left and pull up. It's a 48 volt, 14.7 amp hour battery. The battery itself is certified to UL 2271. The entire bike's electronics are certified to UL 2849. And yes, it fits in our battery bag. It's waterproof and flame resistant, and you get a nice grab handle. Charger port right here, charge it on or off the bike. You can get an idea of the current capacity by pushing this button. And to put the battery back in, really simple with these Shark style batteries. Line it up and push down and you're good to go. To charge the battery, you get a 2 amp charger, so between 7 and 8 hours to charge it up from empty. You also get some included tools. Moving on to the fun part. This is unlike any e-bike I've tested. I actually love this design. So first off, with this accessory, the kids are completely enclosed in this fabric bag, but you don't necessarily have to lift them in because there's a zippered pocket. So then they have access to get in. And yes, maybe it's a hot day like today. Radio Flyer just thinks of everything. You can simply have these up to get more airflow, or maybe if it's cold, leave them down. But even more, my wife likes to grocery shop with our cargo e-bike, and what's great is you don't have to switch an accessory out. You simply zip this down and you just have a cavernous rear here for a ton of groceries. I love it. The kids also get some storage for a water bottle. There's netting on each side, and the seats are nice and cushy, and you remove them simply by lifting up, which is nice in case you need to switch things around. Of course, it is also compatible with child seats if your kids are younger, and even that rear seat just pops off. And when the kids are riding, this enclosure is held up by this footboard. But if you don't have this, they can just rest their feet on here. It's rubber for extra grip. And we ride in all weather conditions. And I'm told there's a canopy cover that's being made for this bike so you can ride in all weather conditions. Don't have to worry about rain. The kids will be way more comfortable away from the wind. It just really extends the weather conditions that you can ride in. You might be wondering what this is. It's called a Deflopolator. No, I didn't just make that up. But when the bike is on its kickstand, it keeps the wheel straight, which is great. On the side, these are reflective strips, which are nice. Also in the rear here, tucked underneath all this protection. I mean, Radio Flyer really wants to make sure no feet get stuck in the spokes. But here is the 750 watt motor with 87 Newton meters of torque. Of course, engaged with either a torque or a cadence sensor. It's a Shimano Altus derailleur, 11 to 32 teeth in the rear. Again, 8 speeds. And up front, the protection continues. This doubles as a chain guard. They wanted to minimize the amount of chain that was exposed, but you get a 52-tooth front chain ring, dual-sided. And yes, I don't need to be convinced to ride a cargo e-bike because we ride them almost every day. Let's go see how this bike performs and grab the kids. All right, as promised, we've got cargo. 1, 2, 3. Woo! All right. You guys like riding in cargo bikes?
Yeah!
All right, let's go. A cargo bike has to haul cargo, so we're going to see how this bike does. Here we go, throttle only, 3, 2, 1. All right, nice gentle takeoff with all of that weight. 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18. And there's 20 according to the display and the GPS. All right, so this bike has a top speed of 20 miles per hour, whether you're pedaling or using the throttle. It is a true Class 2 electric bike, and I have it in the torque sensor. We'll switch it to the cadence sensor. We'll see if I need that cadence sensor. If you're not familiar, a torque sensor, what it does is it's actually measuring your pedal input. The more power that you put down, the motor is going to reward you, so to speak. Of course, still depending on your pedal assist level. Let me shift down, see if I can do it without the throttle. Yes. All right, immediate engagement, not a ton of power in eco, not surprisingly though. I'll put a little bit more power into my legs here. All right, creeping up into 11, 12 miles per hour. So yeah, just a little bit of power in eco. I imagine most people, if the bike is loaded, you're likely going to want to use a higher level of pedal assist. And tour feels like a big jump there. So here, third gear, gently spinning my legs. I could actually shift up here to fourth gear, going at 12 miles an hour, nice and easy. We'll take this turn. Yes, I'll talk about how cargo bikes handle in a little bit when I talk about the geometry and all the touch points. But yeah, 11, 12 miles an hour, a nice slower speed still. And then let's see, this is up a slight hill, putting a little bit more power into my legs. I wouldn't be winded, but my legs can feel it, hitting 15 miles an hour. All right, let's jump into sport mode. All right, so now we're able to cruise at the speeds we were just at, putting in more power. So I'm at 14 miles an hour, 15, could shift up as we go down this slight hill. 6th gear, 17 miles an hour. I like how evenly spaced out the pedal assist levels are. So I'm at 18, 19 miles an hour, 6th gear. So yeah, you can hit the top speed in sport if you want to on flat ground. So maybe turbo will only be for when we go up the hill. We'll see if we need it. So let's go into turbo and see what the cruising speed is. All right, so now pretty easy to hit 17 miles an hour, 18. And I can tell the motor wants to give me that power just with a little bit of extra power from my legs. And still room to pedal. I just shifted up to 7th gear. So slower cadence now, but yeah, able to hold at 20 without too much effort. Let's go into the cadence sensor. All right, here we go with the cadence sensor. I'm gonna start while pedaling. So the cadence sensor engages really fast, kind of like how I feel like torque sensors respond really fast. I was able to start from a stop even with all that weight back there, but obviously you can always use the throttle to get started. That's why it's there, and that's why it's important on cargo bikes. So remember, a cadence sensor, what it does is it just determines whether you're pedaling or not. It doesn't care how hard you're pedaling. The way it knows how much power to give you is simply by the pedal assist level. And if you're spinning your legs, you'll get that motor power. How much? Well, that depends on the pedal assist level still. And I'm going to guess that they have this speed limited because I'm just spinning my legs nice and easy, and we're at 8 miles an hour. Let's see if we drop down more. So in eco, just giving you a tiny bit of power. I actually think most companies tune eco way too high. In my opinion, eco should just be a super slow speed, a small amount of power, just for cruising around, nothing crazy. And so I like that. That's kind of what they did on the Loop. All right, let's go into tour. Now we're creeping up in speed. There's 10 miles an hour. I'm going to shift up into third gear so I can at least put some leg pressure in myself. Looks like it's kind of scooping me up at around 10 miles an hour as I dip below that speed. Don't trust the GPS now. So yeah, 11, 12 miles an hour in tour. Let's go into sport as we go up this slight hill. Significant difference of power there. All right, so in sport, looks like we're going to top out at around 17 or 18 miles an hour. Of course, if I put in more power, I could maybe go faster, but it's going to be with no additional help from the motor because this does appear to be speed limited. Let's go into turbo. That's just going to guarantee us 20 miles per hour. There we go. So yeah, the Cadence sensor experience is actually pretty good if you want to get power more easily. We'll see if we need it on our hill climb test though, because I'm going to turn it back to the torque sensor.
Let's go to the hill climb test.
Let's do it. With the bike loaded, I wanted to show off the kickstand. Push down, we'll rock it back. Super easy. Rock it forward, no problem. Nice job, Flyer. Kickstands are important, and especially when the bike is loaded. It's a cargo bike, you're going to have it loaded. All right, let's get into our hill climb test. I want to briefly talk about this throttle. This one is easier to modulate than your typical thumb throttle, so I'm just giving it a little bit, and you can see we're just going at 7 or 8 miles an hour. That's nice on this bike. I love that modulation, especially if they're not giving you full control over throttle power. But we're going to go up this hill on throttle alone, and we'll see how we do. Might have to pedal, I'm not sure. We got up to 20 though. The GoPro makes it look so much smaller than it is. And hey, there's someone walking their bike up here. Let's see if we can pass them. All right, going down in speed, 10 miles an hour, 9, 8. It is working really hard. I can hear the motor. If it holds us here, this is extremely impressive. I thought I was going to have to pedal. You guys, I think we got it. Hello. All right, I'm not going to say that this motor is quiet when it's putting out its peak power, but 7 miles an hour, minimum speed so far. Oh, dropped down to 6, but still, wow. There we go. We made it to the top. Not what I would recommend to conserve battery. We're still at 77% though. Definitely pedal alongside it. Speaking of, let's do that. And I'm going to test out these brakes. All right, going down this steep hill, I love these brakes. If I could have these brakes on every e-bike, I would be super happy. Of course, they're a premium component, 4 pistons, and yeah, I can just come to a complete stop even with all this weight with a heavier e-bike. So they have stopping power. That's not surprising given their Maguras. But what I really like is there is so much modulation. Like you can control really easily how much you are actually stopping on these. And sure, I guess that could be personal preference too, but I personally love them. All right, guys, we're gonna do it while pedaling. We're gonna start in eco with the torque sensor. This didn't last long. Let me go into tour. Okay, some relief there. I think I can make it to the top, but you might be able to see I'm swerving a little bit because I'm trying to put more power down. Let's go into sport. Okay, some relief there, but still going pretty darn slow. Let's jump into turbo. All right, there we go. So I will say this, turbo, I'm still putting in a lot of power. I really have to put in even more power down to get more power from the motor. So personally, I would use the throttle pedal alongside it, but just for fun, let's go to the Cadence sensor. Okay, and I'm going to use a little throttle just to get started, and this should be impressive by its own. Okay, there we go. So now, shift all the way down. I'm in first gear, eco, nope. Go up to tour. Okay, that's better. Now I can just keep my legs spinning. Not going very fast, 5 miles an hour. Let's go into sport. Okay, that's where it gets easier. So that is a perfect demonstration of a Cadence versus a torque sensor. Very easy to go up the hill in sport. And obviously I can just go in turbo and make sure I'm getting full power from the motor. But either way, made it to the top. Let's talk ergonomics with this bike. So firstly, the ergonomic grips feel great. These handlebars with a decent swoop to them up puts me in a nice riding position. I could bring them towards me a little bit. It's not an adjustable stem, but I could just tilt the handlebars. The seat is about average. Personally, I would add a suspension seat post. And then the front fork, I personally really like having a suspension fork on a cargo e-bike. It just takes that slight edge off. The pedal position feels great. And now handling. So we put this near some of the other cargo bikes that we've been using, and this is slightly more compact, but as you saw, we were able to fit 3 young kids, of course, still in it, which is great. Basically, in my opinion, I want the shortest wheelbase cargo e-bike that can still haul 3 kids and just take a ton of cargo. And if you're comparing this to other cargo bikes, just know that these are slightly narrower tires. That gives you a little bit more maneuverability, but perhaps slightly less confidence if you find yourselves, cutting across the sidewalk or going off-road. But here we'll go on the grass. And yeah, I immediately felt that front suspension after I exited the lip. Now, yeah, of course, this isn't an off-road e-bike, but it's nice having decent suspension, and especially the fact that this one is meant for cargo bikes is nice. And of course, riding with a lot of weight in any cargo e-bike, you have to get used to it. The best thing that I have found for people is first, ride the cargo bike just with no one in it. Get used to the bike. But once you get some confidence, I don't even think about having the kids back there. You adjust to them moving around. Of course, you want to tell them to not move around because it does throw off the weight kind of balance, if you will. And of course, riding at slower speeds is a great way to start getting used to things. But yeah, after riding cargo e-bikes since 2018, it's just second nature to ride with a bunch of cargo in the back. Is it the same as riding with a commuter e-bike? No, but it is something you can definitely get used to. And my wife is just as comfortable, if not more comfortable than me, because she tends to take the kids more frequently. So yeah, my recommendation, don't be intimidated, start slow, and I think you'll be just fine. Make sure you understand all the controls of your electric bike. What's your favorite feature, Lenny?
The kickstand.
Your favorite feature is the kickstand? What's yours?
Dinosaur.
Dinosaurs? Cool. What about yours?
Pink pony club.
That's a feature? Great.
Let's get into some third-person riding footage.
All right, and I will give you my concluding thoughts on the Flyer Loop. Woohoo! With a starting $3,000 price tag, you could say I had some high expectations for the Flyer Loop. So, how did Flyer do? Let's start with what I loved, then we'll get into a few considerations. First up, weight capacity. Every cargo e-bike lives or dies by this, and Flyer delivered. 440 pounds of total payload capacity, with 220 of that rated for the rear rack. That rear rack number is the one to watch if you're looking at other cargo electric bikes. Next, a cargo e-bike is only as good as its accessories. And again, Flyer brought it. Just know they add up. The rear passenger setup you see here runs just under $600, and that front goodie basket is another $200. The Cubby kit specifically is genuinely comfortable for kids. Padded seating plus a rear backrest, and it pops off easily. The Kaboodle keeps the kids and all their stuff, if you will, contained. If you're a parent, you know what I'm talking about. But the clever part is it lets you do grocery runs without swapping accessories. Really cool design. Speaking of design, the frame, protection, and safety are all clearly priorities here. They've tucked everything away behind a rear wheel guard and chainstay protector, and the rear lights sit up high where they're actually visible. Those are details you don't see on every e-bike. Flyer also nailed the kickstand, which matters more than people think on a loaded cargo electric bike. A few more highlights: the motor proved itself on our hill climb test, and you get cargo rated suspension, cargo rated tires, and those amazing Magura brakes to match. The torque and cadence sensors are well tuned, and plenty of riders will appreciate having a throttle on tap, even if it's just to get rolling from a stop. The display and controls are both simple to use. On to the buying experience, because that matters too. If you live near a Flyer dealership, you can buy in store, and clearly Flyer is an established family brand. That should give you some added confidence you'll actually have support down the road. Now, the considerations. First, the battery. It's average size, and I mean average for any e-bike, whether that's a commuter, fat tire, or a cruiser. That's fine for most riders, but remember that loading up a cargo electric bike eats into your range. Flyer's 30 to 50 mile range estimate is fair, but if you're fully loaded, moving fast, and leaning on the throttle, plan on numbers closer to that 30 mark. At this price, I would have liked to see a larger battery. Second, this is a true Class 2 e-bike topping out at 20 miles per hour. I think that's an intentional choice, and for safety, I respect that. But when you're riding solo, like my wife and I often do, it's sometimes nice to have those Class 3 speeds, so keep that in mind. We're also seeing some genuinely interesting tech rolling out across the industry right now. The Loop covers the essentials like being able to switch between a cadence and a torque sensor, but it's missing some of the more advanced features that you might expect at this price. The app experience, at least at time of recording, isn't polished, so I hope they build out that a little bit. If we've helped you with your e-bike purchase decision, do me one favor and use our link in the description or scan the QR code on your screen before you buy. Flyer has built a quality cargo electric bike here, and we genuinely enjoyed testing it out. It's priced at a premium, but I'd be lying if I said there wasn't features here that I liked better than what's on a lot of other cargo electric bikes. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and I'll see you in the next one.